38 Special+P versus 9mm+P. And what we have today is our Extreme Defender ammunition by Underwood. So our 38 Special+P is a 100 grain Extreme Defender bullet rated at 1300 feet per second. Our 9mm+P is a 90 grain Extreme Defender rated at 1475 feet per second. So what I'm doing today is seeing how they'll do in snub nose revolvers. So I'm going to use nearly identical snub nose revolvers, our Taurus 605 and 357 Magnum with a 2-inch barrel versus our Taurus 905 9mm revolver with a 2-inch barrel. Both of these are pretty much identical revolvers, so I'm really interested to see how these things will work. You know, and Extreme Defender bullets are really meant to do a lot of damage without needing hollow point expansion, and sometimes when you go down to short barrels you don't always get hollow point expansion, so that's kind of the point of those. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to shoot our 10% clear ballistic gel block. We're going to go into plain clear ballistics to see what the best potential of those cartridges are, and, you know, no denim or rib simulation in the way, just to see what the best possible penetration we get. If they were hollow points, we would see the best possible hollow point expansion, but obviously they're not. So I'm going to do one of our clear ballistic shots, then I'm going to do a more of a real world simulation, 4 layers of sweatshirt material on this first 3-inch piece that represents our pectoral muscle. After that, a 1/4-inch medium density fiberboard to represent hidden ribs or sternum, into more clear ballistics. Definitely redundant with that fabric, but you know, that's my standard test, so I'm going to keep that in here. And then after that, I'm going to shoot at the steel target to see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up we have our 38 Special. We're rated at 1300 feet per second. About 5 yards from that target. Let's see what we get here. $1,070. Well, I had 0 readings when I set that thing up. I shot like a whole bunch of 22 rounds through it. That's interesting. Let me see if I can get that thing reading a little better and run some more over that. No change here. So it's definitely the bullet, the color of those bullets. There's too much light behind on them that's reflecting. Let me try to get a few more reads though. Let me keep going here. Go a little bit closer to the sensors. 1042. 1027. 1053. Yeah, so the way it's reflecting light is a lot different than normal bullets because they're a little bit longer, because they're less dense. Now for 9mm here, I do want to check for bullet creep. That is something I want to check. But I got to going through my stuff last night. I was thinking, what can I use to make a better reload for this? You know, obviously they come with moon clips, but some people worry about those moon clips bending. And I realized that some of these Zeta 6 J clips for 38 and 357 Magnum actually hold these 9mm rounds in there really well. So theoretically, you could have one of these in your pocket and not worry about a moon clip getting bent up. You know, your original load could have your initial load could have moon clips, pop them out, and then you could reload with this thing pretty easy. So I do have one colored to check for bullet creep. So I'm going to run these ones as my chronograph rounds, but yeah, they seem to load just fine off that clip there. So that could be a solution for some of those issues there. So all right, so let's see if we get any bullet creep, see what kind of velocity we get, see how close we get to 1475 feet per second. 1362, 1370, 1373, there's a little bit of a jump creep. It's not significant, but there's a little bit. 1415. So let's hit our ballistics gel block and see how these things compare. All right, our best potential shot in the plain clear ballistics. This should give us our best penetration potential here. 38 Special+P. Let's see what this does. All right, let's hit that with our 9mm+P. Let's go take a look. All right, so they did not over penetrate at all. They had pretty good damage going there, especially our 9mm. But both of those bullets are backwards, and that is a surefire way to tell that those are tumbling. And I believe that's how they're creating their damage. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but you look at some of the slow-mo footage of this, I can't remember the channel name, you do see them tumbling, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but for me to say they're, you know, they're causing hydrostatic damage, that would be kind of misleading for me to say that. So look at our first 3 inches here. We have pretty much similar energy dump. Not great, but pretty good overall. So that kind of also proves it's tumbling, because after going to about 3.5 inches, then it's got a bunch of damage. You know, if this were the hydrostatic, you know, shock type of stuff going on, it would happen immediately, but it's happening here about the point where bullets typically do tumble. But it's got pretty good damage, and it tumbled pretty good there. Now at the 38 Special, we have a penetration of about 15.5 inches, which is pretty ideal penetration. I'll give it that. You know, to have a round that's pretty powerful and it doesn't over penetrate, that's definitely a good thing that you do want to see for a good defensive round. It's very consistent with that. Now our 9mm+P, we're at about 16.75. So again, we have really good penetration without over penetration. That's definitely good. So let's put on our sweatshirt material, put in our rib simulation, and see how they can continue to compare that way. All right, 4 layers of sweatshirt material, 3 inches of clear ballistics, 1/4 inch MDF, rib simulation, 38 Special+P. All right, we'll put that with our 9mm+P. Let's go take a look. All right, it appears the bullet curved out to the right several inches, because I hit it, you know, a couple inches into the block. It's still curved out to the right. So one more hit here with our 9mm. Let's go take a look. All right, interesting performance here. I did have to put it on a new piece of fiberboard to make sure I didn't hit, you know, a hole through the other one, but yeah, that thing curved quite a bit to the right, which is interesting. Now when we look at our medium density fiberboard from our first shot here, absolute keyholing. That is a perfect example of what bullets look like going through MDF when they're tumbling. They're going to keyhole like that. And what we got going on here with our 38 Special, it's kind of hard to see here, but our total track went to, it looks like about 13.5 inches with our 38 Special. So again, not so bad. Not a ton of damage. Now our 9mm has more damage in there, just from extra velocity. It looks like pretty good wound channels from that tumbling about, and it's pulling a lot of MDF in there. With our 9mm, we went to right there at 17.75. So one thing I want to say here is I don't believe these are causing as much damage as a hollow point, because hollow points will expand right away. That being said, they are tumbling pretty good in there, and they are not over penetrating, and that's one of the things that you definitely want with a good defensive round, because if it's not going to over penetrate, it's going to put that damage into the target, you know, whether it be, you know, tumbling, or, you know, causing hydrostatic shock damage, or whether it be, you know, causing a hollow point expansion. And that's one thing that people sometimes get confused about. They're like, oh, it's not going to put the energy into a target and cause them to whatever fall down because of the energy. But they're kind of looking at it from the wrong angle there. It is good that you put the energy into it, because the energy is going to remain in the target, and if there's energy, extra energy, it will continue to cause damage and cause a bullet to tumble in this situation, or expand if it's a hollow point. So overall, they're really not a bad choice in my opinion. Now I think they are definitely overhyped quite a bit, but they're not bad overall. They look pretty good. So let's pull these out of the block. We'll take a close-up look at them, then I'll shoot our steel, see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. All right, so here's a close-up look at these bullets going through our gel here. You're not going to learn really anything whatsoever, because you know, there's no change to those bullets. They did not deform, and even going through our medium density fiberboard, there's absolutely no deformation. Here's our 9mm bullet though. We can take a look at it just to kind of see how it's built. It has a little bit of a recess in the back there with our 9mm. It does have a cantilever line, which is interesting. And it does have a flat plus pattern on the front there, so nothing too spectacular about that. Now with a 38 Special +P, it has a different bullet design. It just has a completely concave a little bit, diamond shaped. It's a little bit sharper than that plus symbol on there. Has a couple cantilevers there, and it is again recessed in the back a little bit, but it's a little bit different design in the back than our 9mm. It's ever so slightly different. That 38 here on the right. Medium density fiberboard, absolutely no change. You're not going to see anything here that's very interesting. 9mm, 38 Special +P. So interesting to see those close up, but there's not much we can learn from looking at them close up. So that's a close up look at those. All right, 40 yards from the target. I came back this far for a couple reasons. One, you know, solid copper bullets that don't really want to deform a whole lot when they hit steel. I don't really want to be that close to the steel when I'm shooting that. But also the wind chill, it's got to be about 5 degrees today, and I'm starting to get cold, so I just want to shoot from here and then get out of here. So 38 Special +P. I'm going to aim center mass, see where these hit for me. It's very hard for me to tell where those are hitting, because, you know, when they don't smush against the steel and deform, they don't remove a lot of paint. But it looks like they're kind of hitting a little bit to the left for me. They do hit that target pretty fast though. Alright, so fired them a little bit faster. Yeah, I'm missing quite a bit, and they all are impacting really far to the left for me for some reason. 9mm, I'm gonna fire a couple of single action. This trigger is really stiff, so I want to make sure that I make good shots here, see where they're going. All right. All right, those seem to be a little bit more center line, not so much to the left. All right, so it's pretty easy to judge this stuff overall. Moon clips pop out. Both of them did pretty well, but I'm gonna say that the 9mm here did marginally better. You know, we hit, you know, more center on the target, and we had a little bit more damage going on when we hit our ballistic shell blocks. So not bad overall performance, to be honest here. You know, I just wish people would look at this for what they are. If you actually do a lot of research and look at a lot of the TUI ammunition, tumble upon impact by Fort Scott, a lot of the damage marks in the mediums look nearly identical to these. The only difference is that the TUI has a sharper point, so it goes in a little bit deeper before it starts to tumbling, as where with these flutes, I think what's happening is, you know, it's catching a little bit of something and wanting it to tumble right away because there's flute marks all the way around it, so it is wanting to tumble a little bit better than the TUI. So to be honest here, I think that our Xtreme Defender is like a TUI but better than the TUI. That's my honest opinion here. I know every time I do this and every time I say this, people come back really angry and tell me no, it's going out like this and causing all this damage, and I need to shoot it with organic gel to show that, and because my gel is synthetic, it's not going to show that. And honestly here, it looks like the stuff's tumbling. But all that being said, we did not get over penetration, and we got really good tumbling damage from what I can see. So that's not a bad option overall. Now our 38 Special, you know, for me it's shooting quite a bit to the left. that could just be my gun, but with the 9mm, not so much. It's shooting pretty much center. So judging from the extra damage and the extra, you know, accuracy I'm getting here, I would say this is a pretty good choice for 9mm. Another thing that's great about stuff like this is that, you know, being that they're solid copper, they're not very dense, so they are pretty long for their weight. So they do seal the cylinder gap pretty well and still allow for, you know, a lot of velocity. So overall, I'd say this is not a bad option. I would stick to a hollow point myself. But I'm not going to get on here and say that this is terrible stuff, because it's not. It's pretty good for what it is. You just got to understand, you know, what it's actually doing. And it is going to defeat hard barriers a little better than most ammo too. So, you know, overall, it's got a lot of good attributes to it. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.